Let's talk about what's happening in China and Hong Kong. We mentioned it a little bit before, but I want to give you the chance to talk about this here, which is the reaction that China has had to Australia's quite reasonable moves. Let's have a look at the story first.
Australian life raft for Hong Kong's pro-democracy activists.
Our government, together with other governments around the world, have been very consistent in expressing our concerns about the imposition of the national security law.
The nation will now join with the United Kingdom by encouraging Hong Kongers to call Australia home.
There will be citizens of Hong Kong who may be looking to move elsewhere, to start a new life somewhere else.
Around 10,000 Hong Kongers currently in Australia under skilled student and graduate programs will have their visas extended for 5 years, with a pathway to permanent residency at the end of that period. And businesses will be offered incentives to relocate here.
By the way, while we're talking about idiot Greens, well, the chief amongst them, the captain of the side, Adam Bandt, is trying to, well, back in which country here?
Australia's problem has been that it's been too closely tied to China economically and too closely tied to the US politically. And this repositioning doesn't do anything to carve out a place for an independent place for Australia. Australia is not going to be able to outgun China. Our future, our security relies in strengthened multilateral institutions, and we should be joining with other countries, including countries in the other hemisphere who are looking with great worry at what's happening between the US and China, rather than simply aligning ourselves uncritically with one side.
What is he talking about, apart from becoming part of the European Union? Is he suggesting that, of course, we shouldn't be part of the body that stands up against China? Does that surprise you at all, Bronwyn?
It never surprises me, because the Greens hate Australia. They hate the nation state. They want world government, which, of course, they would be a part. But fortunately, the by-election results, with their vote going backwards, shows that maybe people are starting to wake up to them. Just look at some of the candidates they've won in elections and the sorts of people they are. And Matt, although you said that you were pleased to see them demonstrating and showing that really this is what Labor does and reminding people not to vote for them, the fact of the matter is that it's time to act. We can't just talk about things anymore, and we've got to do things. When we look at the relationship that Bandt related to about being Australia too dependent on China, we're the ones who are saying they're too dependent on China and have to realign, but we have to do things. We can't just talk about it. How many times do I have to say it? We have to get out of Paris. We have to get out of those submarine contracts. We have to put a big red pencil through waste. We have to get rid of regulations, and we have to cut taxes. Now, when, Matt, are we going to hear some? Can you tell us?
This is your weekly rev up, Matt. This is your weekly. The coach is yelling at you in the sheds again.
Matt, I need you to tell me what's holding us back.
Okay, get in there, mate.
I think some announcements on environmental regulation and green tape will be very imminent. So watch this space. That's going to be positive, I'd say. We are going to bring those tax cuts forward, I'd say, and we do need to do more there. You're right, Bronwyn. I think the PM's been excellent, though, in standing up to China and outlining our national interests. There's no doubt more needs to be done there. I think what we need to do, where Adam sort of gets half the way, right? Adam Bandt sort of said we need to partner with a broader range of countries. I think that is true. But I think, Paul, you identified it. What other countries he's talking about? Because pretty much every other country in our region has a similar view to us of China. All of them are being very concerned with the bullying and threatening behaviour that is occurring from China. It's not just on us. We're not being singled out. China is had direct conflict with India. They've had ongoing tensions with Vietnam over the South China Sea. They've had ongoing tensions with Japan on the Senkaku Islands. And all of these countries have woken up to that. So we need to develop better partnerships with those countries to create more resilient and different supply chains. That should be our focus.
Gary,
and if we got out of Paris, we'd have some free money.
Go for it, Gary.
Well, I mean, I support.
I'm not laughing at you. I like your fight. That's all.
Sorry.
I know I love your fight. Go for it, Gary.
And Paul and Bromman will be out of the box saying all of that and a whole lot more tomorrow night, let me assure you. But Matt Canavan, you are one of the hopes of the side, right? I'm not going to ruin your political career by saying you're one of the top 5 hopes of the side. And the clarity of the language, in my mind, is this. Sorry, I've probably buggered his career. But look,
he'll be right.
The clarity on this is very, very simple. BAT is talking multilateral arrangements, and a multilateral is a collective. That is all about everybody signing up to it. So that's why you end up with Somalia on the Human Rights Board of the United Nations. What we need is a series of pro-Australia bilaterals. In other words, we go and pick and choose our friends. And right now, around the world, Canada, the UK, 2 Commonwealth countries. Canada is the most like Australia of any other country around the world as far as migration, size of landmass, range of resources, the kind of things it makes money out of. The fact that it's got America below its border kind of helps its economy too a bit. But Canada is very much so been targeting the Hong Kongese people for decades. They've been providing incentives for decades. And the fact that the Prime Minister's come out and said, we will incentivise people from Hong Kong coming to Australia and their businesses coming to Australia is big dollars. We need more money in this country, the right money, but it's got to be on our terms and conditions, not some multilateral, whatever works everywhere has to work here kind of arrangement. Get rid of the green tape, get rid of that United Nations rubbish and intervention on Australia's sovereignty. Let's stand on our own 2 feet, for heaven's sakes, for Australia. Make things, get our power prices down, coal-fired power, water where and when you need it, get rid of taxes, red tape, all of those things. Paul, it's an absolute must-do. And I'm looking forward to the clarity of that kind of argument coming out of the Prime Minister and Josh Frydenberg in coming weeks.
We heard what the great man said. The Senator said we're going to get some things coming in the next little while. The fight is on.